So many things in my life, I guess everybody's life, certainly fate plays an amazing role. There was a man by the name of Norman Cousins who was the publisher of a Think magazine called the Saturday Review of Literature. Have you ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was a kind of like an Atlantic Monthly now, but it was a think tank, very serious topics and subjects. And he was out on the West Coast, or came out to the West Coast. I think he had gone to UCLA, so they were holding a reception for him, and they invited people in the area that subscribed to that Saturday Review of Literature to it, and he just was amazed to see anybody in show business there at this reception, much less the guy that did, Wyatt Earp on TV, and was doing Wyatt Earp at the time, 1958. So he came over to me and very specifically said, I think it's great that you subscribe to the magazine, and next time you're in New York, if you'd like to have lunch or breakfast, we'll get together. And I said, sure. So the next time I was there, we had lunch, and then next time I was there, we had breakfast, and about 3 or 4, 5 visits later, he had just returned from his 3rd visit with Dr. Albert Schweitzer at his clinic in Lambaréné, Africa. And he was telling me about the experience, and I said something pretty innocent like, boy, there's a real king I'd like to meet someday, having met my share of kings and queens and counts, also my share of no accounts. And he said, well, why don't you go over and say hello? There are no fences around the place. I'm sure you'll be welcome. I said, yeah, drop off in the middle of Africa and try to find him. And we went on talking about other things, and we talked about Schweitzer for a few minutes, and he realized also that I had obviously read a great deal about Schweitzer. He was somebody that I was interested in, as I am, about a lot of different walks of life. Schweitzer had won the Nobel Peace Prize, and he was his philosophy of reverence for life intrigued me. Anyway, about 4 or 5 weeks after that visit, when he was talking about his visit with Schweitzer, I was headlining a circus up in Winnipeg, Canada. And I used to do, the horse shows and the rodeos and circuses when I wasn't actually filming on Wyatt Earp. And my office contacted me, and they had received a cable from Norman Cousins that Norman had received from Dr. Schweitzer, and they wanted me to hear what it said. It was very short and to the point. It was from Dr. Schweitzer, and it said, Dr. O'Brien and his party would be welcome at any time. And evidently Norman had written to him or whatever and said this young guy is interested in meeting him. So he thought I was a doctor. It took me about a week, 10 days to change all my plans or all my schedules, and got on a plane and flew over to Douala, Africa, which is right under the hook, and then inland about 900 miles to the Ogowa River and Lambaréné, and then 9 miles upstream to the clinic, which is the Schweitzer Clinic. I was met by an English doctor. Kind of looked like what I would expect. First of all, dirt airstrip by the time, this is about the 4th plane it took to get over there. The nose of the plane literally touching the edge of the jungle, and this guy kind of looked like what I expected. He had a pith helmet, khaki shirt, khaki shorts, looked like a big old Boy Scout. He took me down to the Ogowa River and put me in this pirogue, which is a huge canoe cut out of a log, and there were 6 people that provided the paddle power. And there wasn't a loincloth among them. They all had on T-shirts, baseball caps, or sandals, or shoes, or shorts. And one of them had a Texas Aggie T-shirt. Where he got it, I don't know, but that's what he was doing. And about 4 or 5 minutes into paddling upstream, they had this terrific chant. There was an extra paddle, and I picked it up and started paddling. And I realized a few moments later that all these men had something very much in common besides the color of their skin. They were all black men, but all of them had a major bandage on their neck, arms, back. And I turned to Catchfield and I asked him who these men were. And he said, these are some of the lepers from the leper colony, and this is how they're repaying Schweitzer for their treatment. They are providing the paddle power to get nurses and doctors and visitors like you upstream. And it was amazing then to have the opportunity later to visit the leper colony. And these men were considered the top 6 men. They earned the right to be there. And they would die in that. When they would die, then they would be replaced by the next one. So it was considered to be quite an honor to be able to help the great doctor in that manner. And 9 days, very inspirational, and never had less than 2 or 3 hours with the man every night, and talking on any topic, any subject. During the day, I did what I could to be of help. I passed out food, built baby cribs, whatever made it. And he was very concerned at the time that, which was true, is that we had the bomb. We knew that Russia had the bomb. Maybe 2 or 3, 4 other countries had the bomb. And I'm talking about the atom bomb, or the ability to make one. And he said that he felt the United States of America, he never just said the United States, it was always the United States of America, was the only country in the world that really had the ability to take a stand and to prevent what he felt could be total destruction of civilization as we know it if you start competing one country against the other by throwing the bombs. And so he gave me a tremendous amount of time. And then when it came time to go, we went down to the river, and there was the pirogue with the 6 lepers in it. And he stood between me and the river. And he finally reached over and he took both my hands in his, and he looked at me with these unbelievably cat gray eyes. And it had to be the most embarrassing moment in my life. And just looked at me for what had to be for 3 or 4 minutes, said nothing. And finally he said, Hugh, what are you going to do with this? It was such a simple question. I, of course, had no answer. He helped me into the pirogue. We took off downstream and first been on the river about 200 or 300 yards down the stream. I would look back every once in a while. There he stood on the bank, white pith helmet, white shirt, little bow tie, white pants, and this huge white walrus mustache. Right? And he just watching me go with this little wave. Watching me with great expectations. And got on the plane. It was before the agent jets. Took me about 48 hours to get back to LA, and what the hell was I going to do with it? And I decided that I wanted to try to create something and make or break by my own efforts. I focused on young people because they were our #1 audience. And focused again on sophomores in high school, 15-year-olds, because when I was 15, that's when I personally had to decide to fish or cut bait. Got 2 more years in high school, fun and games, and then the old tough world's on top of you. So anyway, I started putting things down on paper, and when I got off the plane 2 weeks later, I had my first group of kids, and I got my accountant, Bill Hayes, and the attorney, and another business manager, one of my agents to help me. They thought I was absolutely nuts. If you want to do something, why don't you do it with seniors? They're easier to take care of and handle. And that's what the other people do. And I said, well, that's exactly why I don't want to do it. Nobody's doing anything with 10th graders. And it wasn't that I wasn't involved. I did the I was on the national board of the Boys Club. I was cystic fibrosis chairman, international chairman, California chairman for the American Cancer Society. But in those cases, I was just kind of a glorified volunteer going around patting other volunteers on the back. And I just decided I wanted to try to do something and make a break by my own efforts. And it is now 47 years later. We have a little over 345,000 that have gone through the program. I get them when they're high school sophomores, 15 years of age. My first 15-year-old guys and gals are now 64, so 47th year. So been at it a long time.